Warning, this podcast contains spoilers. Warning, this podcast contains spoilers.
Pete, I'm done running.
My sacred mission
Is to create the perfect society. I'm gonna tell you something. We were gone for quite a while. But no matter what happens next, the galaxy still needs its guardians. Are you ready? For one last ride?
Don't forget where we came from.
He didn't want to make things perfect. He just hated things the way they are.
The Guardians of the Galaxy have no place in my world.
Hello. This is Adolf, and I have with me Classic Jake.
That's all, folks.
So we're doing the Spoilercast for Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. And, we did our podcast about this before, and I didn't watch the movie. And, just to be honest, you kind of struggled talking about it without spoilers, and I completely understand after watching the movie. I would struggle with this review too, because it's so much. It's both a lot of stuff happens and not a lot of stuff happens too. But this is Spoilercast, so I'm just gonna go straight for it. If you have not listened to, if you want to know scores, Jake, you gave it a 9 in grade 3D, correct?
Correct.
And I concur. And let's get to the 3D aspect first. So the 3D, I thought it was beautiful. I completely agree with you. There's a lot of scenes where I felt like they really had you're looking into just into the universe, like how they had the framing of the shot of the ship, and it gave you, it felt like it was like right there. And then so many times the animals, it felt like I could just go out there and pet them. You know what I'm talking about?
Oh yeah. It was a beautiful looking movie. Beautifully shot, beautifully composed.
There's a couple of scenes that really were nice, in 3D especially. There's a sign where when they were going on to the, I don't know, bad guy's planet? Living planet? I don't know what the hell it was. And they're in their spacesuits, and then they're trying to go inside, and the planet is alive, kind of. They make it out of organic materials, and they're talking, and you just see bubbles everywhere, and those bubbles, popping in and out, going in depth-wise. Those bubbles look beautiful.
Yeah.
And there's another scene where it was just how they were like flying around. There's so many times they were flying around, and so many times they had corridors that were really long, and they were walking and running by. The corridors really helped to make you feel like, okay, I'm there with them, and the depth really helps there. And I was like, okay, cool, I like this. And the space overall looks really great in 3D. So. Any other specific scenes with spoilers?
Yeah. When Kraglin is piloting Nowhere, and the gun and that extended gun barrel points out of one of the eye sockets.
Yeah.
As Nowhere is a dead Celestial's head, and that looked, even though it was darkish, it still looked good.
Oh yeah.
I was like, oh yeah.
Definitely a couple of times where Adam Warlock was flying around, where it's like, ooh, nice. He was like flying toward the camera.
Yeah, that opening, that was like bam. I mean, it was like, damn, it just got you. The 3D, just the suddenness of it, they just got to it.
I think the part for me, the best 3D section was that hallway fight where all of them are fighting in that hallway and you just get different camera angles. First of all, excellently shot. And second of all, so much fun. And just in watching that in 3D and how they were jumping around and cutting, and it was like one take. Oh my God.
Yeah, I also like that group picture at the end of the credit, just before the end credit scene, where they're just kind of all just sitting around and the feet sticking out. I was like going, nice.
Yeah, and the sense of scope too when they, like, I don't know what those creatures were, those giant creatures that were gonna attack Mantis and Drax and Nebula, and then you could just kind of get the sense of how big they were. And then at the end when they had the ships together and they're just like jumping off of one ship to get to the other one, it's like, oh yeah.
Yeah.
And then just the beginning too, with Adam Warlock flying into and just wrecking stuff, looked great.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, CG looked awesome. Now I can't say it, to my old eyes it looked flawless, but between growing up in an analog world and watching this in 3D, and 3D is never quite as sharp, but this high definition filmmaking does help with that a lot. Somebody who's grown up in a CG world might notice things I didn't, and I'll be the first to admit it. But the CG looked great to me. This wasn't like Black Panther, where I was like going, in a few scenes.
Yeah, and like you said, there are some dark scenes here and there that kind of hamper a little bit, and some of the scenes are a little bit too fast in how they shoot it. But I mean, I understand why they shot it fast, because it's really actiony, but it kind of was like, oh, just slow it down a little bit, and it'll be a lot better for 3D. But yeah.
Mm-hmm. And also, James didn't. I mean, when you use slow mo, he wants to change the pace up, which understand he should have done it more than he did, because that's one of the reasons. That's one of the, me not giving this a 10 there was no one big taking a point off. It was, this point came off because of just little here, little there. It was like the death of 1,000 cuts.
Yeah, but still, I was very happy going to theaters and seeing this in 3D. It was very worth it for me.
Oh, I mean, part of me thought about, but I was like going, no, I'm going to be honest in my feelings, especially since I really went out of my way to avoid reading anybody's review or even their impressions or anything. But after we decided what we did, I checked out and other people's reviews, and I was really stunned at how across the board there's no consensus on this movie.
Yeah, I haven't really seen. I don't really care about other reviewers, really. I mean, I know our competitor, Cinema Blend, they thought the 3D was, like, really great, too. They said it was, like, a hair of short perfection, which I kind of, probably.
Yeah, I felt the 3D in this one wasn't quite as good as part 2, but it's still great.
Yeah. I mean, it's not it is definitely in the upper tier, but not the top tier of Marvel 3D.
This movie also didn't have a scene as awesome in 3D as when all the people fell in the second one, the falling scene, because that was amazing.
All right, so I guess from the 3D itself, we both agree it was great and it looked beautiful and a lot of pop outs, a lot of depth, and it just kind of worked to kind of immerse you into it and make you feel like you're watching it, like a window into the scene, and it worked.
Yeah. I think Disney screwed up when they didn't screen this for the press in 3D.
What was that?
I just thought it was the 3D was real legit and worth it.
Yeah. Okay, let's get to the movie itself. So, movie itself has quite a few times where they are thinking that you're gonna have a major character die, and none of them do. Which I was actually stunned by that. I was shocked. I was thinking, okay, definitely a couple characters will die here, and we had one. We had Rocket the entire movie. And I was like, okay, you know what? I'm okay if he dies. I'm okay if Drax dies too. I'm even okay with Peter Quinn at the end. And it, all of it was like, it's like, okay, I guess not. I don't know if Disney said no or if James Gunn said he doesn't have the heart to kill him off. But I don't know what happened. But it's just like, okay, you gonna fake me out the whole movie? Cool.
He killed all of Rocket's friends.
Yeah.
I think he decided to balance that because this was a really dark movie.
Oh yeah.
I mean, between child slavery and animal testing and animal cruelty, and I mean, this is a dark, dark movie. It pushes the PG-13 to the limit.
And what makes it so dark and twisted is it's the story. You learn about Rocket, how it became a super intelligent raccoon, and he is a raccoon, but he's a super evolved raccoon, and that
also from North America. So him and who knows, in another life, Peter Quill might have shot him hunting.
Definitely. And just the themes of how these poor animals being tortured and having you actually connect with these animals that damn. The CGI here I thought was fantastic too, and they do a great job of making it gross looking and just kind of, it's like unnerving, and it really doesn't the bunny rabbit's kind of cute, but his eyes were red the whole time. And they even had a time with Groot was almost gonna die. I was like, Jesus.
I think by now people realize this isn't the same Groot that was in the first movie. Yeah, this Groot has his own personality and abilities and bulked out. I mean, damn. And then when we hear Groot say, "I love you guys," audience was like, "Oh crap!"
Oh yeah, that "I love you" just like hits you hard. And there's a lot of times where I was like, "Damn, you were right. Tissues are good here." And damn, Groot saying "I love you guys," and then the death of Rocket's family. Hell yeah, furry family. That was hard, really hard. It was just like, damn.
Yeah, just understood Rocket completely.
Yeah, and I was like, yeah, you should.
Rocket, it's a little a-hole raccoon with an attitude problem.
So, the story begins kind of just them hanging out. And this actually takes place after the Christmas special. So we got that confirmed because, they own the planet now. Or not planet, the head of...
Mantis talks about finding out that Quill's her brother.
Yeah, and that was a big theme of the Christmas special. So...
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this movie had a lot of cool things going on. Yeah, and then Adam Warlock flies in and grabs Rocket.
And he was pretty damn powerful. We never got a clear sense of what his powers were. You just knew that he could fly and blast lasers or something.
Yeah. We knew he was taken out of his cocoon too soon.
And I agree with what you said, that his character was very naive and very basic, ignorant, and he, had to learn how things exist. And I appreciated that. I don't know Adam Warlock from, I know the character, but I don't really care.
These not like this in the comics at all, which was a nice change. I think James Gunn made a good decision, really changing the character, because the circumstances of the character do not exist in the MCU. And I also thought this made a nice commentary about all the fans screaming about Nova, and a commentary about what happens in the Marvel universe if you introduce things too early. They're not developed. And I think Adam Warlock represented that very well.
Yeah, and I always liked Will Poulter, so I had no problem with this at all.
Yeah, if you haven't seen Midsommar, aka Midsummer, go see it. He's incredible in that.
Oh, I love him with the Millers. I love that. That's a really funny movie. So,
from the scary horror movies to the funniest of comedies.
And they even have Cosmo come back, and Cosmo actually has a good amount of screen time for
great arc. I mean, the whole thing about when Cosmo gets in a fight with Kraglin, and Kraglin calls her a bad dog and won't take it back.
And I love that accent. I really do. And it's a good Russian accent for a dog. A cute kind of accent. It worked.
Yeah, not only did we get to spend time with Cosmo, we actually got a little more Howard the Duck.
Yeah. I was hoping that he would have more to do, but hey.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes just a taste is all you want.
Yeah, I mean, I assume you've seen the terrible Howard the Duck movie.
The what? I'm having trouble hearing.
I assume that you've seen the terrible Howard the Duck movie too.
Yeah.
Yeah, that really is as terrible as people say.
I saw it in the theater when it came out.
Oh.
So I sat with the whole, I still remember the groans and the, oh my God, I can't believe I'm sitting watching this. Audio, it was bad.
Yeah, it really is one of the worst movies of all time.
They remember afterwards sitting around with friends, and they're trying to justify spending all that money and all that time and trying to say good things about it and failing miserably.
And I really like Nebula in this movie too. I thought she really kind of showed her skills, and I mean, she was kind of annoying at times because how critical she was constantly. But I do like that her abilities were really showcased in this.
Yeah, and I thought it was smart, this movie, that Gamora became more of a background character, because this isn't their Gamora.
And they hammer that out, and I kind of feel like at the end of the movie, she understands them, and he understands her, and maybe eventually after another time, X amount of years, they could get back together. But I kind of feel like maybe they're both okay with it. But now she understands why she maybe fell in love with him.
Fell in love with him. If things had been, if the situation had been different.
And I appreciate the hell that, how much they were able to have a different version of her. That this is not the same character we have seen. She's quite aggressive and mean, to put it nicely.
Mm-hmm. But she also became a guardian. Heck, even Adam Warlock became a guardian. I imagine if Aisha didn't get killed, she probably would have earned. I mean, you have to really screw it bad before the Guardians won't take you in, like Ego or the High Evolutionary.
Oh, the High Evolutionary did not deserve that honor to be a Guardian of the Galaxy.
Oh man, this guy was intense. James Gunn is very familiar with H.G. Wells' The Island of Dr. Moreau. I mean, damn. This guy was straight up villain.
Yeah, he was just some whole different kind of evil that we've seen that is just completely twisted and dark and disgusting.
Yeah, yeah, mad scientists, the eugenics. I mean, even the comics didn't go this dark with the High Evolutionary, and I mean, this guy made Mr. Sinister look like a Disney character.
I mean, just how he just doesn't care about anything. He just cares about trying to make better evolution and having that. It's just so disgusting.
Care about that because, I mean, the minute he figures out that Rocket is actually smarter than he is, does he want to utilize Rocket's intelligence to, mold him into a scientist? No, he wants to kill him and dissect his brain and figure out why he's smarter. Because it's like, he's like Thanos in a lot of ways. He justifies a lot of hate with crap.
Oh, when Rocket was tearing him up his face, I was like, yeah, go kill him.
Yeah. The audience was going, kill him! My scream, I mean, I could hear people scream, kill him. And other people were cheering too. I mean, it's like, damn. I haven't seen an audience hate a character so much in quite a while.
He was just a miserable bastard that you love to hate him, but you also just like, yes, kill him. He's so evil.
I'm glad I saw this actor in Peacemaker first, because I don't think I'd ever, if I had seen this as a first performance I'd seen this guy do, I don't think I could have ever liked him on screen. I'd always root for him to die.
Yeah, I mean, I guess imagine some people get mad that his abilities are kind of nerfed a lot, and he's not the same character, but it fits this movie so well.
Mm-hmm. Look, the High Evolutionary, one of those characters, Marvel had certain great characters crossed over with the Maximoff storyline, which is, and Magneto, which is also part of that. But Marvel did some crappy retcons to between what they did with Wanda and Pedro and Spider, that just make whole things of reading Marvel comics not fun. Turned them into damn soap operas.
And it's just how they're able to execute this and make it into the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I completely believe in this universe. Obviously, he's different, and I don't really care because each movies have to be their own thing.
And I also thought the way they wrote him and did him, that he was a perfectly one and done villain that they're probably going to reference.
Oh yeah.
I mean, if they're smart, they'd bring him up when they finally get around to introducing Mr. Sinister. I'm sure he would be an accolade of this guy.
I mean, we technically don't know if he's dead. I mean, it seems like he is. They left him on the thing that exploded. But, bad guys always find a way to stay alive, so.
Backup.
What was that?
He could have a backup body.
Sure. I mean, there's a lot of ways that they could write around him surviving somehow. There's always something, and the fact that he did not die on screen, yeah, I wouldn't count him out, but I wouldn't necessarily count him back in. I think his purpose is served. I don't imagine that they would need or want to have him come back, but
yeah.
If they wanted to, they could easily explain that away and say, oh well, he found a escape shuttle or something, or escape pod or whatever, and he knows that ship more than anyone else, and I don't know. There's ways around that, but
I mean, I figure, I mean, I don't know what Marvel's plans are, and I don't even think Marvel knows, because between COVID knocking things off track and now the writer's strike, because several Marvel projects have already shut down. Most the one that's getting the press the mostly is Blade, because they just hired a writer, so they have nothing to film.
And
So who's what changes how Phase 5 is going to shake out.
And there's no. I asked you this in the Spoilercast, but I'll say it again. There's no way in hell to know where this takes place in time-wise. It just takes place after the Christmas special, but it doesn't have any references to anything else going on. I mean, it's its own cosmic thing. So we have no,
But the thing is, Guardians has always been its own thing, because Peter left Earth before superheroes were really publicly known. I mean, other than maybe Captain America, but he was MIA. And I don't even know if people thought he was really a superhero. So Guardians has always been its own thing. The problem is stuff that wasn't its own thing during Phase 4 really didn't tie in. Like, they really never... I mean, well, you would think if an Eternal came out of the earth and the ocean and turned to stone, other people would talk about it.
I mean, apparently it's part of plot, or it could be the plot, or rumored to be the plot for Captain America, New World Order. But we'll see what happens with that.
That's
another year away.
Build stuff up like they did in Phase 1.
Yeah, that doesn't connect to anything besides other Guardian stuff.
Great rating, because Phase 1 was really smart. I mean, it was small nuggets, really tiny nuggets, but they were satisfying and made you want to see more. This phase, Phase 4, they would introduce something cool, and you wouldn't have an end scene or anything mention it. Or, I mean, we got, I think a couple of times we got a shot of a newspaper. If you blink, you'd miss it.
Yeah.
That mentioned something. Not satisfactory at all.
Like, we had nothing about Kang here that I know of. There might be some theories, but I can't imagine anything connected to Kang with this. There's nothing with Ant-Man. There's nothing with like you said, the Eternals. There's nothing to do with Thor. I mean, it would have been cool to have Thor's daughter, or God's daughter.
Talk about Thor, because they had just interacted with Thor, at least in our eyes, or in the Christmas special, or more stuff from the Christmas special. Like, they should have. I would have been nice if they mentioned Kevin Bacon.
At least, yeah. So, okay, let's get back to the story here for this. So Adam Warlock comes in, attacks, and then they're trying to save Rocket, and Rocket, they can't save him with, like, med packs they have. So, but they see that his programming or whatever is done by the corporation that the High Evolutionary is on, and High Evolutionary actually wants Rocket back too, because he wants to... the alternate Earth that he made isn't working out, so he wants to have, the brain of Rocket to see what could change for future mutations of evolutions of things. And so the Guardians are trying to find them and try to go into the High Evolutionary's lair, I guess. I don't know. I don't know what his planet or space was called. I don't remember that. Do you remember that?
No. To me, it was just the flesh plant, the bioengineered flesh building that they grossly were living inside of.
Yeah.
Or inside of.
And so they go over there and they try to get the information about Rocket to try to hack Rocket's programming or something, because there's like a thing attached to his heart or something, and if they try to they remove it, it'll kill him or something. They need a
Yeah,
hack.
it's a trope and a MacGuffin, but you aren't going to be bothered by it. Yeah, there's a lot of tropes in this movie, and James Gunn has fun with them.
And
they move forward. They don't really stop anything.
They managed to get in, and that whole scene with them and talking it out with the Gamora, it's good. They got a lot of their Peter and Gamora got a lot of that talked out, and the speaker system, I thought that was hilarious. It was like, oh, it's really easy to use. It's like, no, it isn't. It's like, if you push this button, that button, that's the. It's like, no, I don't understand that at all. That's not at all intuitive. Drax, you're a liar.
I howled because my mother is notorious when I was growing up. Like when I remember first, we had all these bicycles and they were all different colors. She got keys that were the same colors as the bicycles. So do you think she would use for the lock and keychain for each bicycle the color of the bicycle? No. She used other colors and was trying to explain to us. So basically what wound up happening is nobody used the bike locks, and eventually all the bikes got taken one by one.
And I really did love seeing Philemon there as one of the guards. And
that was hilarious.
Yeah, those bodysuits were just gross. It's like, what the hell are they? Why are they wearing that? But I guess they're wearing those fat suits because they could, shoot them, and then if they don't get, I don't know. I don't know what kind of logic is behind making those fat suits, but okay, sure. Movie's got to do its own weird thing, and I'm game. And Gamora and getting the hostage of the the worker there. That scene was just like, damn, Gamora is just so aggressive and so mean, and it's just like, I was actually kind of like, Peter Quinn has a point. I think you could charm her and get what's needed, and nope, that's not what needed. But there's a lot of fake outs, and one of the fake outs we got early on was with Adam Warlock fighting Groot, and Groot's basically having like barely surviving just the head and crawling away. And I was like, oh man, he spent all this time growing Groot, and then now he's just a head and like a spider thing and crawls away, and then like he's just able to grow back like within minutes. I was like, oh, okay, cool. I guess when they're that age, they could grow back that quickly. Okay.
No, it looked like he was. He had a frame, which the way it looked like it was nutrients and stuff. He was he was on a hydroponic thing.
I don't know.
For part of it, because you notice he came back bigger each time.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is the Groot that likes to. Yeah, the son likes to work out.
And having him, and then with Nebula and Drax being together, that couple was working really well together. I like that. Not Nebula. Drax and
Mantis.
Mantis, yeah, and how they were working together.
And I back Mantis when she said she thought Drax was dumb.
I just love how Mantis was able to convince people, oh, you love him. And it's like, you do that over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
And then this shot, Drax, I was like, oh, crap. Is he dying here? Wow, that would be pretty... I was not expecting this, but the actor behind him has said that he's not interested in, being Guardians anymore. So I was like, okay, I guess maybe he's going to die here. And nope, he's fine.
Yep.
And they got the information that they needed, and then they're like, "Oh, we actually have to go to get the information from the head," which another MacGuffin from another guy, because the sphere of information sphere, whatever they had, somehow excluded the information about him, how to fix him. So it was in the mind of the other guy, which I'd never seen him in a movie before, and I was like, "Hey, I know him. That's Mateo from from that great TV show, Superstore." I don't know if you ever watched Superstore or not.
I've seen a few episodes.
And so they go try to get him, and they go to the planet, which is alternate Earth or other Earth, or what was it?
Yeah, it's a thing in the comics. Don't ask me about it. I had no interest in it. It just seems like one of those dumb things that I just kind of always rolled my eyeballs at.
And this alternate Earth is where the High Evolutionary keeps his evolved creatures, so that way they could live their own life on this Earth. And you get to see how they are living like a human or Earth-like life here.
Yeah. Instead of an island, this Dr. Moreau had a whole planet, and it was going to crap. So instead of trying to deal with it or nip it in the bud or correct it, he's going to just destroy it.
And those different animals that are evolved were just really disturbing looking. I know that's kind of the point, but it's like, okay, I don't know what this family is. Is it a bat that evolved? Is it like a monkey or something? I don't know, but it's just really weird looking. But I appreciate that. I think all of them were actually makeup instead of CG. Or if there was CG, it was really great. But all of the different animals that are evolved were really weird looking.
Yeah, basically made them all bipedal humanoids.
I was bothered by that. I mean, I was like, okay, couldn't some of these creatures be happy four-legged? Or does it just have to be that way? Just basically they have an animal head and it becomes humanish?
It just pushes the High Evolutionary. It's like my way or the highway. I mean, the guy is a fascist.
Oh, yeah. He wanted it to be this way, and they wanted to be docile so that way they don't fight back. But so they get on there, and you get a whole bunch of flashbacks of Rocket with as he was becoming evolved and working or living and learning how things work, and his friends, oh my God, that scene with how they all died was just hit so hard.
Mm-hmm.
Because I like all of them. They're all fun. They're all sweet. I can imagine, like, if your kids are here, they would cry instantly and just be screaming at this movie.
Oh, yeah. I didn't have my crap on a whole lot of kids, but you could tell, well, I born kids crying. I hadn't seen so many tears in a movie theater since The Green Mile.
I mean, all four of them are fun, and the otter was so cute, and even though it had robot, limbs, it was still pretty cute.
Yeah.
And I just kind of knew when they were saying, "Oh, when we get out of here, when we live on the planet," it's like, "Oh, I know what this is."
Yeah. I know a red shirt. I know a red shirt when I see a red shirt.
When they take him to the farm upstate,
Yeah.
And I was expecting him to die that way. I was expecting him to die a different way, but still, it just hurt so bad. I was like, oh my God. And you get to know these characters and like them.
Talks him about it and gloats.
Oh, yeah. And Rocky just went over there and tore up his face. I was like, just get him. Just tear him up.
Like I said, my audience was screaming, kill him.
And it's like, they had to kill all of them? Jeez. You didn't have, like, one friend to help them? Nope. They killed them all cleanly. I was like, damn.
Yeah, that's when I was thinking, okay, I have a feeling Gunn may not kill the other Guardians because he wiped out Rocket's first family completely.
Yeah.
Both.
Just having that much there, I was like, damn. and you just like it's just get a warm hug when they finally get to meet and get a hug, and because they're just all in the cages together and they're all next to each other, but they never actually really get to touch each other, and it's just like damn, and they're so simple little creatures, but it's so sweet. It's like, oh, my name is Tooth because I have teeth. It's like, oh,
Floor, lying on the floor.
so it's like, okay, sure, whatever. I'm not gonna fight that. Whatever. You could be a floor if you want to be a floor.
Yep. I
Um,
mean, might as well be cannon fodder.
and just having the high evolutionary have is like, what is it called? I don't know what they're called, but they're like these little booths that they go in there and just. That was horrified. And I would be pissed off too if I got into a machine that rapidly evolved me in seconds. And yeah, I would want to kill whoever did that to me too. So yeah.
Well, why do you think they were doing drugs and crap on the planet? Because could you imagine the trauma he put them through and then shoves them on this planet and has them live in a way that has nothing to do with anything they've ever done in their existence? Ever?
Yeah, they don't belong in suburbia.
Yeah, this is all foisted on them. Humans created suburbia and they fucking ate it. Can you imagine what these poor animals feel like?
Oh, speaking of the F word.
Yeah.
That,
Nice.
Peter Quinn's F word here was like, damn, that was excessive. Was it necessary?
Yeah. It showed how frustrated he was trying to explain 1960s, 70s door locks.
I mean, this guy got spoiled for me a little bit because I saw like I guess it was a TV spot or something where he said freaking, and I was like, that doesn't sound right. And just so they go over there and they find out the truth, and then they got separated, and they have the war pig, and it's like, damn, this is some crazy ass CGI and just some twisted ass person to make this thing, to design this. It's just all the creature designs here were just the CG. It all held up really well, and it made me too well, because it's just like, yeah, this looks like what I would expect to.
Well, just think how many years between Guardians movies there were. I mean, so people had time to design stuff, think of stuff. I mean, the pre-planning. I mean, what I jokingly call the pre-production. Forever. Looks like they utilized their time very well because things were really thought out. Nothing looked rushed. Designs looked organic. I mean, it really created a sense of space and universe and time, and you really were immersed in it.
And so it feels like a lot of stuff happens, but not a lot of stuff happens, because they just go to different planets and then they go try to find a way to save Rocket, and you get a whole backstory on Rocket, but like not that much actually happens if you really look at the whole scope. But how they're able to execute it, it's still very entertaining. I felt like the music was the only thing that didn't really feel like it felt right. It was like one or two songs I thought were really good, but most of it was kind of I don't know about this song and for this one. I don't know about you, but the music didn't really connect with it this time.
One of the things that really impressed me with the music, though, wasn't so much the song choices, but how he integrated it into the movie. Sometimes it would fill the whole theater. It was like, and then you would have it come down to playing out of Peter's device soon. And then other times it would be coming out of somebody's speaker, or you hear it on the radio, or somebody starts singing along.
Yeah,
Well, because music and sharing it became something this movie was one of the subtexts about it that made it so interesting, was how people share music and how they communicate with each other with music.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I thought that some of the music choices were not ideal, but how they handled music was brilliant. But that's preference. I could totally, for me, the other two Guardians movies had a good feel for it. But then also this one's the most serious one of all of them, and I think the best one of all of them. But that's just my personal opinion. I mean, I like all the other Guardians movies too, don't get me wrong, but I feel like this one just hammers the emotion really well, and it's just so well executed and fun, and both tragically sad and very entertaining at the same time.
Couldn't exist without the other Guardians movies.
Oh, yeah.
Started out at this place, it wouldn't have worked.
And I loved when Peter was keep arguing, this is a setup, right? And it was like, no, it's it's not an ambush. I know what I'm doing. It's a face-off. And then when he finally paid that off, I was like, damn it, I didn't see that coming. I've seen this trailer with the Groot with the multiple arms, and I just did not see that coming in this scene. And I was like, damn it, it worked. It worked so well. They were scanning how Groot got in, how they catch the weapons on Groot. Did they not scan him because he was a tree? He's just a tree. He's not going to be harmful. We could just burn him with fire. It's simple. And I guess so. Yeah. I mean, I guess they didn't have the imagination to think that he would do that. And the imagination to have multiple armed Groot was brilliant. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep. Movie's got a movie, and the payoff was worth the not. That's a perfect example of a payoff, and you don't even care that they kind of got you there without a real explanation, because what you got was so cool you don't care. And I loved how Adam Warlock killed that guy. Because they're like, oh, we're going to interrogate him and see what's going on, and he just evaporated him. He just destroyed him. It's like, damn. Well, they doesn't know things. Not specific. Instructions not clear. Specific with him. And when they were destroying the planet, I was like, damn. And the plan, okay, he didn't really have a plan to kill him. They just wanted to get the information. And they're just going to jump him out of the there and use Groot to kind of glide down. I was like, damn, that's so badass. So, I loved it. It's like, yeah, I don't care about if I kill you. I just need what's in your head. It's like, damn. This is some messed up shit. And they're able to get the jet going with Gamora, and he's like, I don't know how to fly this thing. It's like, good. I'm glad they finally have that in a scene where the character doesn't know how this works. And I left Earth when I was 8. How would I know how to drive a car? That part too, yeah. The recoder Theo, played by Nico Santos, who was Mateo in Superstore. He's a sniveling little Smithers kind of character, and it's like, yeah, he would give them the information, but they didn't care. They just wanted to get it that one way or another, and it's like, damn, just scare the hell out of him by throwing him off the thing, and the other Guardians trying to find him. Oh, love it. Mm-hmm. And it's still surprising me, even being the third movie, that how they're able to quote unquote mess up but still win. It's just it's wonderful to see that, and just like it shouldn't work. It shouldn't work at all. But they managed to make it work and make it really fun, and that's why Guardians have been such a beloved, franchise or characters, because
They're really relatable.
it's just
And people and how can you hate a bunch of guys who embrace their enemies mostly and make them part of the family and bring them into the group?
and I even felt for
They're all about celebrating the families we make along the way.
yeah.
That families aren't just our DNA, who we're related to. They're the people we form bonds with.
And how like his own mom died in the explosion, and Adam Warlock couldn't save him, and like if you just talk about the scenes that happen, it's just a series of scenes, but how they're able to weave it together to make a cohesive narrative that is entertaining, sad, fascinating, and fun. That's what's really impressive about it. And you're right, it's a little bit long. And some of the jokes don't land that great. Like the sofa bit was funny, but it was just annoying. It's like, all right, enough already. And then, Nebula being overly critical. It was a little bit funny, but it got annoying. So some of the stuff was going a little bit too far, but I still really enjoyed it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, agreed.
And how, they're like, we're going to save everybody here. It's like, yeah, damn right you will. And we're going to save, and then I loved how he clarified all the higher life and then all the children there. And I was like, oh, okay. And how Drax was like, well, you never asked me if I could talk to them. And that was such a well-delivered line. It was just like, damn.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and he still, you could still tell by his delivery that he was still hurt by what Mantis said. Which is why I think Mantis mind wiped him. And sometimes I wonder how long Mantis has been mind wiping him.
Yeah, which is, again, twisted as hell, because the amount of power she has.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I have a feeling they're setting up a lot of stuff for the future. Because in the final lineup of, when we see the new lineup of the Guardians, one of them is a character that in the comics is an adult, but in this, she's a small child, but she was a Captain Marvel at one time. She was also a Quasar.
Mm.
Quasar is another one of those super-powered Marvel cosmic heroes. So I'm thinking she's going to become Quasar in the MCU.
But even though this is mostly Rocket's story, how they're able to weave every character to have their own subplot and to get them developed, and we got a lot of Mantis, a lot of Nebula, a lot of Drax, and how they're able to work together. I really liked everything. I really liked how.
Yeah. And Peter Quill, the finally going home.
Yeah.
Really home.
And I liked how they're able to all use their different abilities, too. Like, Drax being a dad. Yeah, he was able to connect to those kids. And, he was able to get into that. And Mantis, helping with those teachers.
Well, yeah, like I wanted to bitch slap Mantis when she called Drax dumb. I mean, yeah, in some ways he is, but there's like 6 forms of, and basically amongst people, there's like 6 forms of intelligence, and very few people are good at more than 2. And Drax, his abilities were in different types of intelligence than Mantis was. And the tragedy is she didn't see it until later.
And just having those different abilities, how Nebula was really able to hack in and do all that stuff, and even do other stuff with her technology that made it much more interesting than just a hacker. But she had those abilities, and just how they're able to work well together. And like, he didn't really care about trying to kill the High Evolutionary. He was just like, I just want this information to save my friend. I don't care about you. I was like, damn right.
Yeah, right. That Nebula got. Yeah, she's basically unkillable now.
And how they're able to get Kraglin back in and Cosmo to help out with, I didn't imagine that the Nowhere would get jets and be able to fly, and that was cool. I was like, hell yeah.
Yeah. And the whole good dog bit had a great payoff.
Oh yeah. And when Rocket came back in, and it's like, he saw the little raccoons, which was like so adorable. And it's like, no, we gotta save everything. I was like, damn right you do. You're damn right you're gonna save those animals. You can't just leave them there. What kind of bastard would you be if you left them?
Statement about animal lives matter.
Damn right they do.
And I think James Gunn might have triggered. I have a feeling when Gen Z deals with guns, they're going to deal with animal cruelty next.
Yeah, I think this is going to be something that people will reference in the future. This made me rethink about treating animals, how we treat them. And I think, just having this pop culture there, because animals are intelligent too. We don't think they're intelligent like us, but they might just be a different kind of intelligence. And, you can always judge a dog, but, judge a person how they treat a dog. And a dog could judge you really well too. If a dog doesn't, like you, they have a reason.
Yeah.
Cats too. Cats can sense how good people are.
Yep.
And there's a lot of people that don't understand how other people work. We are the same species. And a dog and cat can definitely judge, you pretty quickly and see how you react to them. And, so, I mean, I'm a big animal lover, so I was like, yeah, of course. Yeah, definitely going to save these creatures. I don't care if they're ugly. Whatever. Save as many creatures as you possibly can.
Yeah, all creatures, great and small.
I was like, they better not have the same moment that they had with the Brontosaur or whatever, and Jurassic World 2, where it was just screaming at the end. I was like, they better not do that, because that shit haunts me to this day.
Just keep telling yourself it's
CG.
Drowned in the ocean.
Yeah, I mean, oh, that scene still.
Yeah. If I didn't constantly remind myself that this was CG of an extinct animal, I would be quite upset.
And I loved how well Bradley Cooper stepped it up. I mean, I've always liked Bradley Cooper, but this Rocket is the best version of the character we've seen.
Yeah, he really. I really appreciated his performance in these movies. He really treated this like a real gig, not just voiceover work he can do in his underwear in the bathroom and just talking to a recorder and make money.
Yeah. And Vin Diesel too. I mean, damn! I think everyone was just like shocked and cheered and cried when, like you said, when he said, "I love you guys." I was like, "Damn, man! I was expecting that. I love it," but I was like, "Damn, was not expecting that from Groot," and it's wonderful.
Yeah, and here, because I Am Groot doesn't really sound that much like Vin Diesel, but man, that did. And I was like, damn, for a minute I thought I was in a Fast and Furious movie.
How he's able to have a different sense, I Am Groot, and say it differently each time, brilliant.
And I laughed so hard when Gamora says, "Oh, you guys are just guessing at what he means."
And just having him at the end, it's like, yeah, it's a mask, but okay. And it's like, yeah, they don't go after killing him. They did just like, you know what, we don't have to save you. It just, we just need to get what we need to get and get things done. And that hallway scene was just, oh my God. I love that scene. That's going to be one of the scenes that people want to watch over and over again, because that hallway scene where the Guardians are killing all those bad guys, it was so gruesome too. It was just like, damn.
Oh God. What about that when the High Evolutionary says there is no God, that's why I stepped in.
Yeah. Oh, and then all those people went up against him. I was like, damn right. Yeah. Huh? And even that little furry little creature, I don't know what the hell it is. It's a little dog kind of thing that became Adam Warlock's little pet. Yeah, I like that. It was cool.
Now he's a guardian too.
And I did feel like, okay, Peter Quinn, I understood to a degree. I felt like Nebula, or not Nebula, I keep getting confused. Mantis decided she wanted to leave. Felt a little bit abrupt, but I get that, But I did love how they were able to give the captainhood to Rocket. I thought that was really well done scene. And it did feel like, okay, this works as a way to conclude the series, and they leave on their separate ways, and Peter Quill is running back to, wanting to go back home to Earth and see his family, and that makes sense. And I guess Mantis has 3 new friends with those giant monster things. I don't know what the hell they are.
Yeah, I mean, who knows when we're going to see characters again, and whether they're, because I mean, several actors have already said they're moving on from Marvel.
Besides Drax and Dave Bautista.
He said she's moving on.
Who was that?
Zoe, then, the actress that plays Gamora, she said she's not playing Gamora anymore and not doing any more Marvel movies.
And the first post-credit scene was really good with, okay, now you see that Captain Rocket there, and they have the new team with Cosmo and the girl, and Groot was like a super giant. I was like, oh, I love that. That was cool. And then having him, I was like, wait, it kind of messed up though. It felt weird that they, were killing all these other creatures because other creatures couldn't defend themselves. I was like, it's a little bit weird. But okay. I guess those creatures are not that smart.
Yeah, and then we get to meet the future Quasar. That girl.
I mean, that would have been a good place to have the God Butcher's daughter there, being trained. Giving Thor is like, yeah, she needs to have some time with a group setting, and
yeah, I mean, that's one of the things that's been wrong with. I mean, they had it a little bit like we got to see, Blonde Widow crossover a little bit, and we had minimal crossover with Wong, but there just wasn't enough callbacks to previous stuff. They just kept introducing stuff and dropping it. And I know part of that was because of the pandemic, but it really did hurt Phase 4.
Can't they talk to each other?
Yeah.
I mean, it's not that hard. I'm talking to you.
A lot of they were pushing so much stuff out that it limited their flexibility when things went sideways with the pandemic.
Oh, and I loved having Kraglin be able to learn how to use the Zandu's thing. I wasn't even expecting Zandu to make a cameo. I was like, oh yeah, great, good for him.
Expecting Michael, that was a total surprise. Welcome one too.
And then I was totally not expecting as well the cameo from Sylvester Stallone.
Well, the Rat Avengers were there. I mean, hell, we even had Miley Cyrus.
Yeah. I mean, I just didn't think he would want to come back because his role in the second Guardians was so small. I said, okay.
Yeah, well, I imagine before James Gunn had a different trajectory with his career, that probably those Ravengers were going to probably, a lot of them become Guardians, or they would have a bigger story than they wound up with. But it was great. But it was great seeing them all, or most of them, because I didn't see Michelle Yeoh.
Yeah. But yeah, I really enjoyed this movie a lot, and the emotion really got to me, and I felt like it was well paced, and I really enjoyed the action scenes, and the humor for the most part worked. It was just a little bit long, but I really enjoyed it, and this is a great way to really end the Guardians movies if they're going to end it this way. But if they're going to continue on, it's going to be different, obviously.
Yeah, I don't know if we're going to get any more Guardians movies, but who knows? But I have a feeling some of these characters we're going to see pop up. Hopefully, some of them pop up in the Marvels.
Yeah. Now the post credit scene was just like so nothing. I was like, okay, yeah, going back to the mundane reality of life and mowing lawns, but it's like, is that the best you could do?
Well, the thing is, it sounds like it references something, and I can't figure it out.
Oh, I have no idea what it's talking about. Like, they could have connected to something else, like a universe, messing up or something. Cool was on Earth. Maybe something happened. I don't know. It just that would have been a good way to connect something as well, and they didn't try to connect it to anything. So I was like, okay, sure.
Excuse me. It could be an inside joke.
Yeah, I mean, I'm guessing there's going to be some people that are overanalyzing that and saying, lawnmowing.
Well, there's still an Easter egg in the first Guardians movie that we haven't found yet.
No.
And a few people have come close to it, but I don't really care. These are Easter eggs that are beyond my pay grade. I just pick up on the easier ones. I'm not into the deep dives. I don't know the lore that well.
I mean, does anyone else know that Star-Lord is on Earth? Or is it just his family and that's it?
I don't know. I mean, only thing James Gunn's really said about it is he says that Grandpa doesn't know about Ego.
Okay, that's fine. I wouldn't expect him to know that.
Yeah.
There's no reason why he would.
Well, I mean, his daughter was knocked up, and
yeah, maybe, maybe Peter will see the giant head in the ocean. I was like, I know what that is.
yeah, that is something. See, that's what I would have loved. They're watching that on the news, and he is explaining it to his dad, Grandpa. Grandpa. That's a celestial.
Yeah.
Because that's incredible.
That would have been fun. That's how you do it. And then it's like, hey, so what's going on over here in New York? What's this eyeball thing? Oh, I don't know what that is.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, they time to do that, but they should have been watching the Celestial on the news.
Or maybe it's like, oh, so there's like apparently like multiple Spider-Man in New York. Do you know Spider-Man? And he would like, I don't remember. That would have been a fun way to do it. Something. Come on, guys.
Yeah, exactly. Go. Huh, yeah. Or he would know because the spell didn't affect him.
I don't.
And Grandpa Spider-Man.
Who knows? All right, so I think we covered everything we want to cover for Guardians 3. I really enjoyed it, and I think it was a great movie and great 3D. And yeah, James Gunn, don't have no doubts in him, and he definitely has proven himself time and time again. And I am super excited for him to the Superman movie that he's writing.
Yep, let's just hope Zaslav doesn't. Even though the studios, Warner Brothers, is starting to turn a profit, let's just hope he doesn't destroy DC before James Gunn gets to flex his muscles and actually get movies out.
Yeah, I mean, I hope that it's at least a 5-7 year plan, because it's going to take a while to get some movies done and get production done, especially now with the writer's strike. It's going to take a while before. I think apparently he wrote the first script of it before the writer's strike ended. Because he writes and directs these movies. So
yeah, but I don't know if he's got I assume he's got a writer's union. So hopefully he's not going to scab his own movie.
Yeah, I assume that as much, but yeah, I guess that's going to be it for the Spoilercast. I want to see if we could get a Spoilercast with the other guys, but I can't guarantee that. Scheduling is hard, and we got to do what you got to do, and people have lives, so I understand. And if it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. I still feel like, hey, we got to talk about Guardians 3, and I'm glad that we're able to do this, Jake. So, because this is definitely a movie that I don't know how I'm going to talk about it without spoilers.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. Maybe you didn't see the movie in 3D the first time. Definitely watch it the second time in 3D.
Uh-huh. Yeah, this is well worth seeing. Yeah, see it on the biggest screen you can and see it in 3D if possible.
Yeah. If there's an IMAX 3D, go for it. If there's a Dolby...
Yeah, this movie was designed to be seen on the big screen, not your cell phone.
Yeah, the cinematography here is also so badass and awesome, and it looks epic. It looks big. So it feels worthy of cinema, of going to the theater, This isn't your Netflix movie of the week. Is fine for watching at home, but not at all cinematic or all that memorable. Movie that you remember that you watched last week or you watched this week and you don't remember you watched it next week. There's going to be parts of this movie that I'm not going to remember, but I mean, obviously I'll remember the death of the friends of Rocket. That's going to be haunted. That's going to be in my soul. If ever I see a little baby raccoon, I'm like, oh, that reminds me of baby Rocket.
I'm already, every time I see a raccoon, oh, it's Rocket.
Are little raccoons really that small? They're just so tiny.
I guess. I mean, I figure they're either CG or puppets or both.
Yeah. They're really that tiny, huh? I just look at the pictures for them, and yeah, baby raccoons are really that tiny. Baby raccoons are usually called kits, Kits.
Yeah, raccoons are the size of big cats or small dogs.
But when they're little itty bitty critters and little itty bitty, they're really that small and adorable. All right, that's gonna be it from us. Bye.
Bye, folks.
But wait, there's more.
Hello. This is Adolf, and I have with me Joan.
Hey, everybody.
And this is your opportunity to be part of the Spoilercast for Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3.
Woo.
So, I guess it's just going to be me basically asking you some questions about it, and you tell me what you want to say, or, for full spoilers. I guess, first of all, what do you think of the 3D?
The 3D, it wasn't an Avatar level experience, but I thought it was pretty good. I was happy with it. I saw IMAX 3D, so it was about as big as it gets. Not any kind of, not for me anyway, any type of pop outs like come out and grab you out of the screen. There were some moments where stuff was coming out, but lots of depth. Image quality was really good. Probably the best one I've seen other than Avatar in a long time, to be honest with you.
Yeah, the specific scenes I really liked were when they were trying to get into, and they're in their spacesuits and they're talking, and you have a lot of space stuff floating around.
Yep, that was good. I thought, the scene, and everyone's kind of talking about that scene where they're all fighting in
The hallway.
in that hallway. Yeah, I thought that was probably one of the best 3D scenes as well. I mean, that was a great scene just to begin with, but the 3D was good in that too.
And just kind of, a lot of times the camera angle made you feel like you're really looking into this. Like, it makes it look like the ship is actually a ship that has depth that actually exists and stuff. And
Mm-hmm.
so,
yeah, I'm trying to, man, I'm trying not to be fuzzy in my memory, but there was one scene that literally went down so fast I almost felt like I was getting sick. Do you know what the scene I'm talking about?
I don't remember.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember what it was. But I'm not sure if that was IMAX or 3D, to be honest with you.
I mean, a lot of stuff are more like flying, it was like flying toward the camera, and that was cool.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Back to your comment about the camera angles, I'm not sure if it's Gunn the way he films it, or they just put more time into it. But I thought all the space stuff in the 3D looked much better than anything we've seen out of Marvel in a while. I mean, Doctor Strange had some moments. Shang-Chi did too, but this just seemed to be the best they've had for a while in my viewing.
Okay, so what score would you give it?
3D, I probably would give it 8.
Okay, so I guess a great 3D.
Yeah.
Not quite editor's choice, not 100% perfect, but
no, it's not. No one can compete with Cameron when it comes to the 3D experience in a theater. I just haven't seen it yet.
All right, so let's get to the movie itself. What are your thoughts of the movie?
Well, the weekend before release, I went back and I watched the first two at home in 3D on Blu-ray. And the first one I liked more than what I remembered. And the second one I didn't like as much as I thought I did. And this movie I liked a lot more than what I expected to. It's not without some bumps in the road, but it's definitely, I don't know if it's in my top 10 Marvel, but it's probably in my top 15. And I never expected that to happen. I really enjoyed it. I went with a friend of mine. I'm going to take my daughter either this weekend or later in the week. And I told her, you better bring your tissues because you're going to be crying. Considering most of the moments that make you want to tear up are all computer generated, it's pretty amazing how they're able to get the emotions out of you. The action scenes are great. I did like a lot of the character development, and I learned that Nebula has become my favorite character over the 3 films, and if you include the Avenger movies as well. But I thought the acting was great. I thought Chris Pratt was back to his prime compared to the little bit he did in the last Thor. I didn't think he was really good in that, but he was really good in this one, I thought. And then the story of Rocket, I thought, was just great. I just loved learning about him. And even the villain, High Evolutionary, not Thanos level, but he's pretty good. I loved the actor. I thought he did a great job. Little long. I could have cut it down maybe 10, 12 minutes, maybe 15, and shortened it up a little bit. There's only one thing I really disliked, but I'll let you talk about it before I go into that.
Yeah, I feel the same way. And I really enjoyed the story, and yeah, I heard people saying about they're gonna cry, and yeah, I mean, if you don't, you're kind of a soulless bastard.
I will agree with that.
I mean, I guess some people won't be emotionally attached because they're not humans per se, but
Yep.
Still, I mean, yeah, having some this is a spoiler cast. Having, some cute animals die and some actually really sweet characters that you would grow to really like, and you have them die horribly. Oh.
Yeah, I mean the stuff with the animals is just some of it's the cutest thing you've seen and the most fun, but man, it is brutal. And there's people really calling it out that hey, there's some rough scenes in this movie. There was a guy behind me with two young kids, and I was thinking, man, good luck getting them to bed tonight because it's Gunn. I mean, it's not. I wouldn't think it's an R-rated movie, but it's pushing it at times. Some of the stuff.
Yeah, and I meant, did the kids scream when they died or no?
No, they were actually pretty quiet. So I don't know if maybe I'm naive. Maybe it doesn't impact kids as much anymore today, or maybe they were just so scared that they couldn't even vocalize it. I don't know, but yeah, I went with a buddy of mine. And he's like this big like football sized player dude, and he's just throughout the movie coming and going. I see him wiping tears away from his eyes. So it just really pulls at the heartstring, and I think in a good way. Like they don't play it to just make it overly sentimental. I think the heartfelt moments are done really well.
And I kind of feel like I do like this version of Adam Warlock from the little bit of time he was on the screen. I think they could have done something different. I don't know. It's kind of hard to introduce him to basically have like 5 minutes of screen time. And I have no idea what his powers are.
Yeah, did you talk to Classic Jake about him at all?
Yeah, a little bit.
What was his take on it?
I mean, he's different from the comic character.
Yeah,
but they have to do what they need to do for the movies because makes sense. But like, it just he has some kind of energy projection and he has some flight, and I don't, they could have, I don't know. I felt like they could have explained some of the powers a little bit better, what he does or doesn't do. And I do actually like that he's naive, that, so, yeah.
Yeah, he actually was my one problem with the movie. Or I shouldn't say problem is too strong a word. The one thing I didn't enjoy. And I didn't, in the comics, he's Thanos level powerful in the comics. And I know it couldn't be that, and it doesn't have to be that for me to be thrilled with it. But it was kind of like in Thor: Love and Thunder, they made him so goofy I couldn't enjoy him anymore. When you watch him, Thor in like Infinity War and stuff, he's what I picture Thor to be. And Adam Warlock, he was too much the young, naive kind of sniveling mama's boy, and it was too much for me. And it didn't help that they didn't really explain him at all, to your point about powers and other things. And maybe that leads into the only maybe close to second knock of the film for me was there is to the point where there's too many characters now. It almost felt like Gunn was trying to get everybody in because this was his last Marvel movie ever, moving on to DC. And I think most of the Guardians had their moments, but man, he filled it in with Stallone and all these other people throughout the other films. It was almost too much, and maybe that's what added to the length. But I thought Adam Warlock was the one thing I wasn't completely thrilled about.
And do you like the dog? The dog's cute.
I did like the dog, but again, there was another character that I don't know if you needed. But I did like the dog. Yeah, I did like Cosmos. And the team they kind of set up for, I don't know, future movies. I don't know that they'll have them, but I would like to watch that team. It'd be interesting to see how they interact and stuff. And you could start over with a new creative mind behind it and have more Guardians and just a brand new starting point, which is kind of a cool thing that I don't know that any other franchise has been able to set itself up that way.
And well, it is long. It felt long. I do appreciate the different character moments here. We got a lot of character moments that are really well done, and finally you got to get some more time with Nebula and got to see her powers, and you got some time with just everyone else. And you learn that Drax has a different language, and Drax is actually really good with kids, and it
Yeah.
makes sense because he had a kid. And I like just these characters feel more developed and more likable and more like Mantis. We kind of just barely knew her in the second movie, and now I like her.
Hmm. Yeah, it felt like Mantis and Drax weren't in this movie just as comic relief. They felt like they actually had a place and in the story, and certainly the way they ended it with kind of leaving them to go on and live their own story moving forward. I don't think we'll ever see that, but that's okay. I really liked them. Yeah, Gamora has been not Gamora. Nebula, she's become my favorite character. Like her story arc from the first movie through this, and then she obviously had a lot to do with Endgame. It's really great, and the actress is it Jillian? I think Jillian.
Karen Gillian, yeah.
Karen Gillian, yeah. She's excellent. She's like she doesn't get enough credit, I don't think. She's really good. But even Gamora, I liked. Same actress, but a completely different Gamora in this movie than one we've seen. Probably closer to what we saw in the first Guardians movie. But I really liked her in this as well.
The plot itself kind of simple. It's kind of
Mhm.
just trying to rescue. They're trying to save Rocket, but getting the backstory of Rocket, backstory that I was kind of wanting to get to know because he's just a talking raccoon. Cool.
Yep.
I don't. I didn't know about the Guardians of the Galaxy before the movie. I really didn't. I mean, I consider myself pretty decent into comics, and I'd never read anything about the Guardians of the Galaxy, so I was open to anything, and I was like, okay, sure. But like, I like everything. I like Groot in this too. They're using Groot really nicely. There's a lot of times when the movie copped out and made you think that certain characters were going to die, but they didn't die.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there's been different variations of the Guardians of the Galaxy over the years in comics. But I didn't know the backstory of most of them. So getting it for Rocket, I think, was great. I really enjoyed it, and I thought Gunn did a pretty good job of moving back and forth, moving the story forward, but then showing you backstory, the flashbacks. It was pretty clean. The only thing, back to the time, you're right about the story. It is pretty basic. Like they basically they're going after this device, and then the thing with the ship, well, they think Star-Lord's off of it or on it. He gets off of it, then they get on it, then he's got to go get them. Some of that back and forth seemed a bit, I think that's where it played long for me and a bit tedious. I'm not sure if they could have done it any more efficiently, but that's where it seemed like it felt long. But I did like some of the emotional moments with them trying to save Rocket, and him having that moment with High Evolutionary at the end. And then, I mean, how brutal was it when they showed him as in the flashback, him attacking him, and basically taking his whole face off? I mean, it was intense.
Yeah, I was containing myself, but I was like, in my mind, I was like screaming, get him, rip him to shreds. And I know it's terrible to say it, to think it and say it, but it got me. I was like, yeah, you have every right to do that.
No, that's how they made you feel. It's one of those villains where, I mean, he's just pure evil. Like there's no side of him, even like Thanos, right? So what he was doing was evil, but he really was trying to do it with a pure heart, misdirected as it was, I guess. Where High Evolutionary was just like, hey, I'm going to take the place of God and do it better, and as many people as I got to kill to get what I want, I just do it. Whether it's animals or people or other species, like just doesn't care. Like he was wiping out that planet at the end. Well, it wasn't perfect. I'll just wipe all these people out that I created. He's just pure evil, and that's kind of unique, I think, even for a Marvel movie to have that. But it was good.
I kind of wanted him to actually die, though. It's like because it kind of left it vague if he survived or not. Because
Yeah, they did.
you could write it either way, but like someone could have cut his stomach. Let Drax cut him in the stomach and let him die slow, painful death. No, it's terrible, but he deserved it. He's countless. I mean, we don't. He's been doing this for years now, if not decades, and countless animals that never asked to be there have gained consciousness and had to live out lives that were completely alien, literally alien, because they're not supposed to be that way, but they were artificially evolved to be sentient and bipedal. And
Yeah, and I don't know if that was done, intentional. Like, did Marvel tell Gunn that they got to keep him alive because they'll use him down the road, or was it just they ran out of time to show it? I'm not sure yet.
Yeah, I wasn't really sure if you can't kill any of these guys, so you can play with it though.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I was surprised that all the Guardians survived. I really would have not been shocked if one would have died, just to give the movie some weight. But they didn't, and I didn't feel like it was bad because of it.
Yeah, and it feels like they all had a conclusion that kind of made sense for the character arcs that they had, and it did feel like a little bit that Mantis leaving was just a little bit abrupt, but it's like, okay, I guess. But I did see that, okay, Peter wanted to be with family. Okay, I could see that. I could buy that.
Yeah, I could buy that, and I think it's also a way for them to bring Chris Pratt back. Any of those upcoming Avenger movies that, if they take place at all on Earth, which I assume they will, they can find a way to pull him in. He could still be Star-Lord without the rest of the Guardians, and now they've got Pratt's marquee name still in those movies, and they don't have to make up a reason as to why he's there. So did make kind of, I could see that being a setup. I don't really think they set up anybody else for the future other than, I guess, that other Guardians team. But it felt like they were putting Pratt in a place where he could continue to be in future Avenger movies.
Now, I haven't seen 2 again since theaters. Is it still open that he has some powers? I didn't see that he had any powers that he inherited from his dad. I thought all the powers went away, or was I missing something? Does he actually have some powers left?
Well, I mean, I don't think they all went away. I don't remember them all going away after the second one, but you don't see him ever using them, do you? So I'm not sure. They mention, was it in this movie? I'm trying not to get confused. There's a mention about, they did testing on him and they see he's not fully human, but they never expand it beyond that.
Like, I was expecting him to use some of his powers somehow, or either that or acknowledge it. I guess if they do bring him back, they need to acknowledge that. I feel like they need to say, you have some powers, you don't have powers. I mean, he does have alien technology. I assume he has his own ship and his guns and stuff. But
yeah.
He doesn't.
Yeah, because otherwise he's like Tony Stark, right?
Yeah.
He's got basically equipment to make him a fighter. That's about it. Because
he should have like a basic mask he could wear and his guns, and he probably has his own ship. But I was also expecting Adam Warlock to use his magical powers or whatever to save him, and I guess just bringing him back from the vacuum of space was enough. Which I was like, come on, you have all these powers, you could use some of it. I don't know.
Yeah, I didn't understand that either. I mean, I knew as soon as he went into space and he started to crystallize, I knew Warlock was going to be the one that saved him, because that was kind of his redemption arc, right? Mm-hmm. So that was fully expected, but yeah, you make a good point. I hadn't really thought about it too much. Where his celestial powers, where's all that stuff at? Because I don't remember the end of the second one, them going away. So I don't know. I'll have to check it out again.
So it's I understand some criticisms of the movie because it really isn't that many plot points per se, but how it was able to execute it, I think, is still fantastic, and the emotion really held. I don't know where this takes place in the Marvel Cinematic Universe besides after the Christmas special.
Right. Yeah.
But okay, whatever.
That was another thing that was weird, because you felt like at the end of the Christmas special, he kind of got over his morning drunkenness of Gamora. But then in this movie, that's basically what we start with. He's still drinking her memory away, or trying to, which I thought we kind of got through that with the Christmas special. That was one thing I didn't quite understand. So I still think the placement of this was after the Christmas special, right?
Yeah. I mean, it makes sense because he knew about Mantis being his sister, and that was not to the end of the Christmas
Right,
special.
yes. Yeah, you're right. So it has to be. So why he's still drinking, getting drunk, thinking about Gamora, I don't understand.
But I don't know. I mean, the Christmas special happened around Christmas time, but I don't know exactly when this movie takes place. Is it like January, or is it like May, or what? Is it a year later?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know. I mean, I guess other than the drop of him knowing she's his sister, there's no other indicator of when it happens. And maybe it doesn't matter. I don't know.
Okay, so what are your final thoughts? What's your final score for this?
Yeah, I probably I think I fall into the category. I'm going to give it 8.5.
Okay.
So it's on that good, great area. I usually, like with Marvel movies, I know we try to talk about them as soon as they come out. And I always like a second viewing better. And a lot of times I don't get that till I can watch it at home. So I'm not quick to condemn Marvel movies out of the theater. So I try not to do it the other way. I try not to say this was so great, but it did feel that way when I left. It felt like, man, I just finally saw a great Marvel movie again, where I hadn't kind of felt that for a while. I don't know that I condemned them like some people do online. Every movie can't be Endgame or Infinity War. I just don't have that expectation. And I don't think this is as good as those, but it's knocking on the door of those movies for Marvel for me.
Okay. So, I guess since we don't really do 0.5s, you'll give it an 8 and a movie award, a movie editor's choice award. So that way,
I'll give it an 8. Yeah, I'll give it an 8. It's not 9 or 10, so I'll give it an 8. 7 sounds too low, so I'll give it an 8.
But you give it the editor's movie award for a well-crafted movie. So that way, you can kind of do it.
Yes, agreed. Yeah. Where are you at?
Me and Jake gave it a 9.
Okay, you guys are one above me. All right, that's good.
And then we both agreed with the great 3D.
Yeah, good. All right, well, we saw this. I think we all saw the same film then. That's nice.
What do you think of the post-credit scenes?
They were kind of a letdown, I thought, to be honest with you. I mean, I enjoyed the one with the new team. I'm not really quite sure what to get out of the one where he's with his grandpa. What was your take on that?
It's just a waste of time.
I mean, I don't know. The build up to him was like, there's 2 scenes. You've got to see him. And I don't know if people were excited about the new team. I thought that kind of like, even though you didn't see them in uniforms all huddled up together, it kind of seemed pretty clear that's what they were saying. It was kind of cool to see, but then the grandpa stuff, I didn't understand. Yeah, was a letdown.
If you're gonna show mundane thing of life, then just show it. Don't talk about it.
Yeah.
See have Star-Lord mowing the grass. Just kind of bored. I don't know. It just kind of have him comment on some stuff that's going on that, do you know about this weird thing happening over there? Oh yeah, I know about that. And okay. I don't know. There's other way. It could have connected to other stuff too, and nothing.
Yeah, I think and I guess it's their own fault that they. And I don't know if this is an offset of COVID hitting a couple years ago and screwing their whole timeline up. But those used to be, if there was two, one connected to the next movie and then one was kind of funny, right? And if there was just one, it was usually a connector. Now it's, now I'm waiting for the connector for the next movie, or 2 movies or 3 movies down the road even, and there's nothing. I find it hard to believe what's next. Marvel's
is next in the
Marvel's
MCU.
Yeah, and then I forget what's next year. I mean, it's hard to believe they don't have something to tie to that, or even if it was for Secret Invasion, which comes out on Disney Plus. It was disappointing for sure for me.
Yeah, I mean, Marvel's is the next movie. We do have animated wise the next Spider-Verse, but that's Sony, and then after that, I forget if Craven is still coming out this year or not.
Yeah, I think that one, that CinemaCon or whatever, they said that they showed it. It's still on the list, but I mean, it's May and we haven't seen even a teaser for it. So that seems kind of odd.
I mean, it's supposed to be the first R-rated Sony Marvel movie. It's supposed to come out October 6th.
Well,
so, but yeah, this doesn't connect anything with Marvel. Does it connect anything with any of the TV shows? I mean, besides the Christmas special, but I mean,
no, right? Yeah, I mean, it was almost. You're right. It was like a standalone Marvel movie.
It didn't connect to anything that happened with Quantumania or Loki or Doctor Strange, Multiverse, or anything.
No, right. So there's a good point. Like and that one we saw what the one stinger at the end was Charlize Theron. She shows up.
Mm-hmm.
Like what? We're never going to see that again. Like I don't know. It's frustrating that either they try to tie in and it doesn't go anywhere, or they don't do anything and people are sitting there eating cereal.
Yeah. I mean, we've had, someone should do a list of the worst post-credit scenes.
There's probably one out there. You can probably find it.
Because, this is, pretty high up there with, patience is a virtue and, why you're still, some of those other ones are pretty bad, too. It's just kind of, okay.
Yeah. But then there's ones that go nowhere that I'm all excited for, like the end of Eternals. Sees the Ebony Blade. Well, that's Dark Knight. And then you heard, what's his name, who's supposed to be playing Blade, his voice, and oh man, it's so exciting. And then years and years and years and years go by and nothing comes of it.
I mean, it would have been a good time to have the Eternals and Star Fox or whatever figure something out with them.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I forgot about that one. Yeah, that was the other one in that movie. Jeez.
I mean, apparently the next Captain America movie is going to talk about the hand and the face that are in the ocean, but still, connective tissue here is really light, if anything.
Yeah, that's the one. That's their movie in May next year, right?
Yeah, so that one is supposed to. I think, I'm not 100% sure, but from what I've read, it's supposed to be that is it Tamuk? The rock island that the left over after the Eternals?
Yeah.
That's supposed to be made of antimantium.
Oh, really? Oh, so that's how they're going to get that for Wolverine?
So there's now a huge amount of people that are trying to go after that, and Captain America is sent to kind of help stop some of the ports. I don't know how to. It's supposed to be a big thing because now there's all these rare minerals and stuff that are on there, and who does it belong to and who doesn't it belong to, and so and I don't know if adamantium existed in the MCU before this thing, so I don't know.
Yeah, I don't. I mean, I think this is going to be one of those years, and there's not been a lot of them over the last 10 where, my favorite movies have nothing to do with Marvel. I mean, we got Dune 2, we've got Flash, which looks really good. We've got Mission Impossible. I think Marvel's going to be way in the bottom of the list again at the end of this year.
Yeah, we'll see. All right, I think that's going to be it for this Spoilercast. Thanks for participating. Bye.
Thanks, everybody. Bye.
Before this podcast wraps up, I want to thank my patrons. Thank you, Kano3D, MK Ultra, Kevin Winter, Alex Folk, and Gravity Head Zero for your financial support on Patreon.com. You can find 3D or 2D on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Pinterest, Instagram, and more. Just look for 3D or 2D. Thank you for either listening or watching this podcast. Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Take care. Bye.